I was twerking down the hallway one.
With your hairnet.
Yeah, they was like, oh God,
mask.
somebody take the booties away from me. Welcome everybody to the Bob and Katie Show.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Bob. And we are joined here today with a very special guest. But,
he can't talk yet.
yeah, his mouth is full of nipples. Like, booby nipples at the podcast table. Which is a,
He's gotta eat, Bob.
It's a first. It's a first for us. Never had boob suckage in the studio before.
Oh my gosh, don't put it like that.
Well, obviously we were away for a couple weeks, and there's a good reason for that. This is basically what happened. There's a lot of people that live at our house now, and if we don't devote 100% of the time to taking care of them, they're gonna die. Like, that is the burden that has been laid on us. So...
It's like living with a bunch of little drunk people.
I know. Literally, the older boy child was running through the house and ran right into the wall today. This happened today.
He did.
And he started crying, and I said, what happened? He goes, the wall hit me. And I'm a strong believer in just being honest. And I said, no, sir. The wall did not hit you. You ran into the wall. And he wasn't okay with it.
Because he knew he was running around acting crazy.
Yeah.
Consequences. They gotta learn.
All right, I got a favor to ask you.
What?
I know that this episode is a whole lot of information from what just happened to us and the baby getting here and all of that good stuff. But do you mind, just mind a little bit, if I can throw some Bob O'Clock news in first? Because I know if I don't do it now,
I don't mind.
It's not going to happen. And I found something and I've been holding on to it, I think for like 3 weeks. So much so that I don't even remember what it's about.
Yeah, because, like, our last episode we recorded was the day after we went to the hospital the first time.
Yeah, the first time
he thought we were going into
little guy tried to get out. And
they ended up, sending me home. And we went back 2 days later and didn't leave. Well, I mean, didn't leave for a while.
Sorry, no. I'm not laughing at what you said. I literally couldn't remember what the Bob O'Clock news was about because it was so long ago. I just remember going, this is going to be amazing. And I just opened it back up and I completely remembered, and it's great. So, here you go. Here's some Bob O'Clock news.
Welcome to the Bob O'Clock news.
Augusta, Maine. A Maine man fought City Hall. Okay? So already, fight the man. That's what this story's about. Okay? He scored a temporary victory when he dumped a cup loaded with dozens of bed bugs onto the counter, causing the building to be evacuated and closed down.
Who has a cup full of bed bugs just lying around?
He's just walking around.
That he carried with him to City Hall?
To City Hall, yeah. He dumped them on the counter at City Hall.
Whatever he was upset about was definitely premeditated. He had a cup full of bed bugs.
So in my mind, he just walks, and he's angry. Cause you don't walk in whistling, what a wonderful life, and throw some bed bugs on the counter. That's not how it happens. He was mad.
Ugh.
Like, whatever happened, this guy walked in and he was like, fuck y'all, bed bugs. And the building shut down. City Hall. Okay. Now, before we get into the rest of the story.
Do you think everybody ran out screaming? Like if it was a fire, everybody's like, ah!
No, I don't think that's the way it happened.
Everybody calmly just got up and left the room.
Yeah, I think it was just one of those mandatory, there's bed bugs. Cause if a bed bug.
The people in the back room was like, what was that?
Yeah, so, cause if one gets on you, you're taking it home.
Ugh.
You know what I mean? And now your house is infected. The man went to the Augusta City Center and approached the General Assistance Office where he asked for a form to request aid. He was told he didn't qualify according to the city manager, William Birdgeo. Birdgeo. Is that guy? That's probably not how you pronounce it, but is it definitely how it's spelled? And he emptied the cup of blood-sucking vermin in retaliation, in which he screamed, "They're your problem now," according to the employee. The angry man had complained to the code enforcement officer that his former apartment was infested by bed bugs. He left the building but returned after he had showed the cup of bed bugs to a manager at his new apartment and was told he couldn't live there, according to the New York Post.
Oh my gosh.
Bergio said the police were contacted and they were searching for the man. So there's a man hut now. Hunt. Did I say hunt or hut? There's a man hut. No, there's a man hunt now for the bed bug bandit. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh my goodness.
Police have not released the man's name or if charges would be filed. One employee had at least one bed bug land on them. So the bug lands on him. He screamed his bed bugs. But you don't think they knew right away, right? At first they were like, what the hell?
What is that?
Another quick employee grabbed a bottle of Windex and sprayed down the bed bugs to immobilize and contain them. An exterminator was called and the office was expected to be reopened in 2 to 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
2 to 3 days. He shut down City Hall with a couple bugs.
I don't have any experience with bed bugs, thank God. But I know, they're no joke. You can get infested.
I know that I talked on one of these episodes about, a story I saw in Myrtle Beach, where a guy was at a hotel and they were just crawling all over the place.
Oh my God.
I never knew they, bit you, though. I didn't know they, sucked your blood and stuff. I was completely unaware of that.
Yeah, so like a flea or a tick or something.
They were big. So these things get on you while you're sleeping.
Oh my God. This is making my skin crawl.
Just so you, I just thought it was awesome.
Well, I feel bad for the guy.
I feel bad for him, but
It's like a vigilante.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get justice, man. That's all. He's just trying to get justice.
Oh, he just wants to live in his apartment without getting sucked on by little bug vampires all night long. I'm having a hard time focusing.
Why?
Because your boob's out and there's a little human attached to it and we're talking about bed bugs. It's so weird.
It's just a day in the life.
Okay, so you want to get into it? The events that led to the birth of little Rhys Odin?
Sure.
Where do we start?
It was a Sunday night.
It was it? Yeah.
It was Sunday night.
We were watching Logan.
Trying to for the second time.
For the second time, yeah. Trying to watch this movie.
Why didn't we finish it? Did we just fall asleep?
You and Courtney, I turned and looked at you. Both of you guys, your heads were tilted back, your mouth was agape.
The night before.
And you were snoring, yeah.
That's right. We started it the night before on Saturday night.
I felt bad. I was like, because I could have watched the rest of it because it was so good. But I was like, I'll turn it off and we'll get these girls in the bed. Okay, so we're watching it.
So yeah, for the second time, we're trying to finish it. And out of the blue, I start having contractions. And I start timing them.
I didn't even know. I didn't know you were doing this.
Yeah, because I didn't want to freak you out. Because...
Of what happened before, it's fine.
Oh, yeah.
I get it.
I didn't want to freak you out. It's not uncommon to have contractions when you're 36 weeks pregnant. And so I start timing them. And after a few of them, they were consistently 4 minutes apart. And we live almost an hour away from the hospital. Mm-hmm. And they were consistently 4 minutes apart. So I was like, I think it's time to go.
Now, you were worried about freaking me out. I wasn't freaked out. I'd gotten burned too hard the time before.
See,
you made fun of me.
Well, I wasn't trying to make fun of you. 2 days before, thought I was going into labor, but I knew that I had time, but you didn't. I mean, you didn't know. You can't feel what's going on with my body. But this time, I started having contractions, and they were regular. And I think I was probably freaking out more than you were. Not that I was freaking out, but I was like, we really have to go now.
Are we talking about the Sunday night now? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. No, I wasn't freaking out at all. As a matter of fact, I came upstairs. I found I got my bag, and I was like, I think I'm going to take my Nook. I went and looked for my Nook. I got a charger. I was nowhere near.
You make it sound like you were lollygagging, but whenever I said we need to go, we left the house 10 minutes later.
I was nowhere near the amount of freaked out I was in episode 78 And then we talked about that
I think so.
episode right before this one.
So luckily our niece was here. She was staying with us to help us. And, we had a plan of action just in case I went into labor again, because I knew after the first time going to the hospital, I knew it wasn't going to be much longer. Even though, I was only 36 weeks. I knew it wasn't going to be much longer. He was measuring big, and you just know. So she stayed here with our kids so we could just go to the hospital. So we left. And I started trying to call my mom. Like I said, I'm not freaking out, but I'm like, I knew this is it. This is happening. I'm like trying to call my mom. And my mom's not answering the phone.
No. I remember
and I'm
saying,
like,
you're like, she won't answer the phone.
Yeah, like nobody's answering the phone. It's like 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, oh, geez. But anyway, end up getting a hold of everybody. Get to the hospital. We go to triage, and they go to like start checking my blood pressure and all that good, all that stuff that they do. And I made a joke with the nurse, and I was like, surely whenever you guys check anybody's blood pressure in here, it's going to be high the first time.
Sure, yeah.
You're in the labor and delivery triage. Like, you don't just go in there just to hang out. You go there because you think you're about to have a baby. Who isn't, like, surely everybody's blood pressure is a little high. I remember I was joking around with her, and they checked my blood pressure, and it was, like, dangerously high.
It was, like, crazy. Like, I was like, I didn't know the numbers went up that high.
Like, higher than it's ever been in my entire life. Like, dangerous. Like, I've been in this situation before where I could tell when things are not good, and doctors have a way of, they won't really panic and tell you, oh, crap, this is bad. But you can tell the change in their demeanor. I've been around it before, you know what I mean? And I could tell the change in, like, the demeanor of the doctor and the nurse. And they're trying not to freak me out. And I know this, but I'm freaking out on the inside because I know that this is a dangerous situation. And they're like, well, we're not going to let you go home. You're not leaving here until you have this baby. And, like, everything hits me. I start crying. Mm-hmm. Then they, like, start pumping medicine and IV to get my blood pressure down. And they're talking about preeclampsia and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, what in the world?
So you started crying. You still couldn't get up with your mom. And I did the only thing that I felt was right for that situation. I loaded The Mighty Ducks on Netflix on my phone and put it on your stomach. And I was like, hey, let's watch The Mighty Ducks because we're stuck in this room and your blood pressure's high. And we did. And it was good. It was the second one. The one where they go play the Olympics.
Mm-hmm. So. Wait, are you sure we didn't watch that the first time we went in the hospital?
Oh, you're right. That was the first time.
We were watching TV the second time. You know the little TV they have in the room?
You're right. We were watching Practical Jokers.
An American Ninja Warrior.
Yep. We
were flipping it back and forth. Yep. That's what it was.
Okay.
Well, I remember now.
I retract the previous statement.
I was like, wait, that's not right.
If you want to hear the story about the Mighty Ducks, please refer to episode 78. But they put you on magnesium. And as soon as they said something about it, I was like, oh, what are we going to do now? Because I remembered, I don't know what magnesium does. I mean, like, the overall view is that it calms you down, but it can also slow, like, you having a baby down, because that's what they put you on when we, were going through this with the other two kids.
Yeah, now, they give you magnesium. It's magnesium sulfate, sure. I believe. But yeah, I had to do.
That clarified everything up for anybody that didn't know what magnesium was. And I was like, oh, it's the sulfate. Okay, I get it.
I had to do 48 hours of that with the twins when I first went in for preterm labor, because it's a drug that they use to try to stop labor. And when you're there to try to have a baby, and they're like, oh, we're going to give you this. But this time they didn't give it to me to stop the labor. They gave it to me as an anti-seizure medication, because it can also be used for that, because my blood pressure was so high that they were worried that I would have seizures. But I remembered being on it from the first time, and I was like, oh my God.
You want to see Bob in panic mode? You roll your eyes back, start shaking a little bit. I'll start slamming things around. There'll be 8 doctors in there.
So, like, they put us in a room, a labor and delivery room. They get me hooked up to the magnesium. And whenever you do magnesium,
you don't get out the bed again.
You can't get up and you can't eat. So you're hooked to a catheter. You can't get out of bed. And then they were monitoring my blood pressure like, at first it was every 5 minutes. Like, I was hooked to the blood pressure cuff, and that thing went off every 5 minutes.
Now,
And after hours and hours of that blood pressure cuff, like, it was about to send me over the edge. I was like, I'm gonna freak out, man. I'm gonna freak out if I can't get this on my arm.
it's so weird, like, the different point of views from what we were going through, because I obviously was nowhere near the amount of uncomfortable that you were. And I get that, okay? I get it. So when I say this, I don't want you to be like, well, you were the one dealing with it. I'm just saying, like, from a male's point of view, my wife was uncomfortable. They were giving her anti-seizure medicine. The baby was preterm. Like, I got all this stuff going on. And on top of that, I don't sleep well in my own bed. So, like, trying to get some rest at a hospital is, it's near impossible for me. Then the nurses keep coming in, and back to that, like, blood pressure cuff thing. Every 5 minutes. What was that?
He's just grunting.
He doesn't like the show. I wanted to throw that thing through the wall.
I did too.
But
I did too. And also, magnesium, it makes you really hot. Like, it makes you feel flushed, and it makes you really hot. So, it was cold in the room, but I was still really hot. And you and Courtney were about to freeze to death.
no,
Everybody kept talking about how cold
Courtney
it
was about to freeze to death. I was super comfortable.
You were okay? I thought you were cold. I thought you told me you were
No,
cold.
I definitely put like a sheet on. Like, they brought blankets, but I wrapped up in a sheet. But I mean, that's good though. That's a good feeling. Like, when I have to put something around me and trap my massive body heat inside of it, that's comfortable.
Everybody that came in there was like, it's so cold in here. And I'm like, oh, really? I'm hot. I was so hot. But, yeah, so
what big happened next?
hours went by.
Yeah.
We got there. We got to the hospital 10:30, 11-ish. We just kind of hung out most of the night. I was on magnesium, and they also gave me Pitocin to try to counteract that, because magnesium, it relaxes your muscles and it'll slow your labor down. So they gave me some Pitocin to try to
Induce the labor, sure.
Yeah, help things along. And so, yeah, it was just a really uncomfortable, restless night. By like 6 a.m., the doctor was like, all right, we're going to break your water now.
Now, this is the doctor that's been there all night. And there's a baby about to drop out of her, too.
Yeah, she was pregnant, and her due date was on my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Her due date was 12 days before my due date. In fact, she made a comment. She was like, I was supposed to go before you.
Right.
But yeah, she came in and she looked at me and she said, we're going to break your water now. Is that okay? And I looked at her and I said, I don't know. That sounds horrifying. I had never had my water broken. I had an emergency C-section with the twins.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I don't know. Is it going to hurt? Like, that sounds horrifying. You putting anything up in there to break my water. That sounds horrifying to me. And she was like, she's like, oh no, it's not going to be that bad. She said, it's like when we check you.
Sure.
And by that point, I'm not sure how many times I had been checked.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean somebody sticking their fingers in there to see how dilated your cervix is.
Now, I had been there all night, and every time they had, checked you, I'd been right there. So when you guys had, like, okay, yeah, we're going to break the water thing, she comes in and she breaks the water and, like, doesn't even acknowledge me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just standing right there and it happens. And I was like, oh my goodness. Now this is a good segue. So, patreon.com/the Bob and Katie Show. That is, if you don't know and have never paid attention to our podcast, we talk about it every time. We always, beg for your help and, whatnot. You can go and sign up for a membership for as little as $1, and every new member for right now gets the new limited edition special sticker, patron sticker of the Bob and Katie Show that we'll send you no matter which reward tier you pick. Now, this is the reason that I bring this up. We had talked, and there was a lot of, like, really gross stuff that occurred in this whole process.
Oh, yeah. Having a baby is a gross thing.
So on this episode, we're going to tell you we broke your water. Okay? But we're going to do another episode on Patreon and then we're probably going to call it the grossest episode ever, where we get a little more into like the nasty stuff that happened.
A little more graphic.
A little more graphic stuff that happened in the hospital. Is he okay? You gonna make it there, buddy?
He's grunting.
He's like, you talking about me? You talking about me? I ain't getting paid for this.
He's trying to get comfy.
Do you want to go lay him down?
Yeah.
I'll finish this patron thing up. Okay? I'll pretend like you're still here. It's gonna be weird.
You're gonna talk about them breaking my water?
No. I'm gonna finish the patron thing.
Oh.
Yeah, go wrap him up, lay him down. Okay, so we're gonna do an episode, and we're gonna cover all the gross things that happened. We're gonna cover it from my point of view, because I was just sitting there in awe, some of the stuff that just went severely wrong, I thought, but apparently it turns out to be normal. But it is definitely a not suitable for work, and maybe not everybody would want to hear it. But if you do, you can go to patreon.com/The Bob and Katie Show, become a member, and we'll have that episode up pretty soon, as well as the third episode of the Casey Anthony stuff that we lost track of in this whole predicament. But that's it. So patreon.com/The Bob and Katie Show. And you can find that on our Facebook page, Twitter, all that good stuff. The links are there. And she's not back yet, so what else can I say? If you guys want to support the show in other ways, tell people. Just tell them. Go, hey, I listen to this podcast and it's great. Here's the link. Nothing helps a podcast grow faster than by word of mouth. So he decided he decided he didn't want to lay down, huh?
Yeah,
it didn't work out?
He went done eating, I guess.
Yeah, that's so fine. He can stay at the table. That's okay. So yeah, she came in, broke your water at 6 o'clock?
Yeah. And
then at 7 o'clock, it's time for her to leave. So she leaves.
When that hour, things picked up. My contractions picked up and all that good stuff. They checked me. I'd progressed a little bit. Not a lot. I had finally progressed to like 5 centimeters. Yeah. And at that point, the nurse was like, if you want an epidural, now would be a good time. And I was like, yes.
Do it.
Yes. I was like, I wasn't super uncomfortable. Like, the contractions were very manageable. But I was like, I'm not brave enough to try to just not have an epidural.
Yeah. And the way those work, if you wait too long, then it's too late, right?
I'm really not sure.
Oh, I thought that's what the deal was. Like, if you either have it now, or like if you wait too long to get it, then they'll be like, "Oh, you're having the baby."
Well, that was always my understanding, was that if you got to a certain point that it was like too late, they couldn't do it. But I know we asked one of the nurses, and she was like, "No, there's no such thing." Oh. So I don't know, but I was like, "I'm not trying to wait." I was like, "Go ahead and give it to me now." Like I said, I had progressed; things were picking up. It was looking good, so I was like, "Yeah." So yeah, it was a little while after that I got the epidural. That was terrifying.
Now, this is what else happened. The new doctor, because like the first doctor goes home, and the new doctor comes in, and they had slightly different views of how everything was going to happen. So she broke your water at 6 o'clock. The new doctor came in at 7, and he takes you off of the Pitocin stuff, which helps you go into labor. So now it's like the thing that was pushing you forward, he's like, don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And then things severely slowed down.
Yep, they did. After I got the epidural. So I got the epidural and I was like, oh yeah, I'm fine. I can do this all day. And then things started slowing down because the magnesium, it just, that's what it does. Mm-hmm. And he was just very conservative in his views. And I have had a previous C-section, so he didn't want me to have the Pitocin because you can have a uterine rupture. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to make sure that I was safe and the baby was safe. And he just wasn't willing to risk it, where the other doctor was. And I was okay with it. I mean, she wouldn't have given it to me if I didn't consent.
Sure.
But I was like, no, I think that's a good idea because of the magnesium. But he's like, no, we're not going to do that. So we just hung out for a long time and had occasional contractions, but I had an epidural, so I really didn't feel anything. And, yeah.
And then it was that night, right?
Yeah, I wasn't progressing anymore after
He walked in and he goes, so we're just going to go ahead and you're going to have a baby.
What was it? 7 o'clock p.m. that night. It had been 12 hours since this doctor took over. And he checked me and I hadn't progressed.
At all.
None. And I was heartbroken and he knew it. He felt so bad because he knew I did not want to have another C-section. I was going to do everything in my power not to have another C-section. And I hadn't progressed. And he was like, okay. He was like, we'll give it like another hour. Cause he was hoping. He was like, I'm going to cross my fingers for you. We're going to give it another hour and just see if you progress any. And I was like, okay. And yeah, my family was there. You know, I was like, we got to say some prayers. I'm not trying to have another C-section. So yeah, it was actually about an hour and a half later he came in.
Spoiler alert.
And no progression at all.
So then he said he was going to go ahead and move forward with the...
And then I started crying.
Like, really bad crying. And
like, I was embarrassed at how hard I was crying in front of this doctor.
And I'm fine with you crying, like, because I knew that was
like,
gonna
oh,
happen.
she'll be fine. She'll get
I knew it was going to happen. I knew how strong how emotionally involved you were in this idea. I knew it was going to happen. But I was looking at the doctor and I was like, whew, this dude feels uncomfortable. Like, I could see it on his face. He was just like, I don't know what to do.
He did.
And I'm sure that he has to deal with stuff like that, you know, probably not all the time, but he's got to deal with stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you made that dude super uncomfortable.
I couldn't help it. I could not help it. I was like ugly crying. I was like sobbing because I was so upset. And he was like, there's really, you know, he's like, it's already been over 12 hours since we broke your water and you're not progressing. He's like, I really think we're out of options. And I was like, I know, I agree with you. I was sobbing. And he was like, is there anything I can do, like, to make this easier for you? And I was like, no, I'll be fine. I hated, like, in my head, I'm like, Katie, you're crying way too hard. But there was nothing I could do about it. I was so upset. And so, like, whenever they decide you're going to have a C-section, people swarm in your room.
Yep.
And they start prepping you.
Like, here we go. She's going to have to pee in a bucket again because that happened last time.
No, I already had a catheter in.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I already had the catheter in. But, like, they just, I don't know, they yank your gown up and just start doing, I don't even know what.
Poking and prodding and whatnot. Well, that's because you were crying. You couldn't see anything.
I was too busy crying. And, like, everybody felt so bad. And the anesthesiologist came in to talk to me because I had already had an epidural in.
Yeah.
And now I had to go in for surgery. And he's explaining to me how sometimes they'll use the epidural and just put, like, stronger medication through it. And sometimes they have to take it out and then put in a spinal block. And so he's asking me questions about how I'm feeling. And this guy was uncomfortable. He was uncomfortable because of how bad I was crying. And he was super nice, but, like, he felt so bad for me. At one point he was like, he's like, I feel like I should be doing something. He's like, when a woman cries, I feel like I need to do something. And I was like, I'll be fine.
Now, while you're going through all this, let me tell you what happened to me. When the husband goes back, or, you know, whoever goes back, they put you in this, like, marshmallow man suit. It's just like, it's like a big footed onesie pajama thing.
Didn't they bring you, like, ones that were too small?
Oh, yeah. She brings me an extra large. And I looked at it and I was like, I'm not squeezing my fat ass in this. Cause they gave me an extra large last time and it was really tight and uncomfortable. And that was when I was running like 6 miles a day and I'd lost a bunch of weight. And since we'd had the kids, I've gained 35 pounds since we've had those kids. I was like, it's not happening. And I told her, I was like, look, it's very flattering. I said, but everybody's going to be uncomfortable, not just me, if you try to get me to squeeze into an extra large. So she brings me back a 2X, and thank God, because that one was a little bit tight too. But, and I had to wear like these booty things. Not like booty, like not like my butt, but like
on your feet.
Yeah, I was twerking down the hallway one.
With your hairnet.
Yeah, they was like, oh God,
mask.
Somebody take the booties away from me. But yeah, they gave me the face mask, the hairnet, and all that good stuff. And once again, they put me in the little room and they're like, we're going to go back here. It's going to take us about 15 minutes. And they explain to you, like, they're like, if something starts going weird, we're not coming to get you. I'm like, why tell me that?
Now sit here and wait patiently.
If something starts to go wrong, like if your wife starts to die, we're not going to come get you. We'll see you soon. And I'm like, and they walk away and I'm like, and once again, you start checking your clock. So about 30 minutes goes by, right? And I'm like, because I think it was, what time was it when you went back?
I have no idea.
What time was he born?
He was born at 9:35.
Okay. So it was probably about 8:50. So go back about 8:50 and that's when that's when they tell you, like, if something goes wrong, we're not going to come get you. But, if everything's good, we'll be back in about 15 minutes. So it's like 8:50. And like 30 minutes later, they haven't come and got me yet. And I'm like, holy crap. So I pull my phone out and it's like 8:53 and I'm like, oh no, it's going to be like this again. Cause it just feels like it's such a long time.
I bet.
So then I start like taking pictures of myself and playing on Facebook, trying to like just pass the time. But, they did come get me eventually. Everything.
So meanwhile, you're sitting in this little room waiting.
Yeah. Cause I don't know what happened to you.
This is what happens to me. They wheel me in there and in the bed.
Mm-hmm.
I've had an epidural. I'm numb. And they're like, can you scooch over on this table?
No.
And they're like, we can move you if we need to. And then I was like, I got it. And so I'm numb and I have a catheter in.
Right.
And I'm trying to move from the bed to the operating table. I'm sure that was graceful.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing a hospital gown with like my butt hanging out. Yeah. And there's a room full of people.
So you slide across and you just be like, excuse me, ma'am, can you hide my Johnny, please? My Johnny's hanging out. And I mean, I know you're going to see it anyways, but I'm just uncomfortable.
When then they took my epidural out and they did the spinal block just to be on the safe side. And so I got poked in my spine for a second time that day. And it's not fun. It's really not. Because they give you this shot to numb you first. And that thing hurts like heck. It like burns. And there was this really sweet nurse. And I'm like sitting on the side of the table, numb. I think she's there. She's being really supportive, but I think really she's there to make sure I don't fall off of the table.
It's like, because good Lord, if this lady rolls off of here, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there, butt exposed, everything exposed. Mm-hmm. I'm already numb from the epidural.
Right.
And, she's like sitting there in front of me, mothering me or something. And
so, like, that's her job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is to make sure the patients don't roll off the table.
Her name was Catherine.
Oh, okay.
And it just so happens she was actually the nurse I had the night before, whenever I first got into labor and delivery.
Nice.
So we were already acquainted, but like it hurts. And like she's standing there in front of me, she gives me her fingers to squeeze, and I squeezed this poor girl's fingers for probably 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I might not know you, but I don't care. I'm in pain. And I just need somebody.
So like when somebody goes to Catherine, you're like, so what exactly do you do? She's like, well, I let angry women squeeze my fingers.
Angry pregnant women.
Yeah.
They squeeze my fingers. But no, it's just super sweet. But yeah, I squeeze the heck out of her fingers.
Now I go back and when I walk in, I see you and it's not the same as it was last time. Like last time you looked happy almost. This time you didn't look so happy.
Because I had been puking. I
didn't know that. You were getting sick and you were still puking like randomly.
I puked a total of 4 times while on the operating table. And that is like the most miserable thing you will ever do in your life.
Patreon.com/The Bob and Katie Show, because that's going to be on the grossest episode ever as well. Because I watched what they had to do. Because you don't like go to a toilet.
No, you're laying down
on your back
and you're numb from like the chest down. Yeah. Try throwing up that way.
Yeah.
It's not fun. Not fun at all. But it's a lovely side effect of having a C-section.
They opened you up, pulled him out so fast. It's crazy how fast it happens.
See, for me, that was like the longest part when, I'm numb.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like lying there on the table, strapped down.
And you can't see anything.
And I can't see anything. So it's like, I'm just lying there waiting to hear that first cry. That seems like it takes forever. I'm just waiting. Just like, okay.
Well, the doctor looks at me and he's like, hey, if you want to see this, stand up now. So I stand up, I look over the sheet and, they've got the contraption in you, the hole is open. He reaches his hand in and just, It's over. Pulled him out. Just that fast. Baby started screaming right away. They took me away from you. I got to go over and cut the umbilical cord, and which is so weird. You never got to do that before.
No.
I can't explain what it's like, because they give you a pair of scissors, right? And you don't just cut. Like, you have to, like, keep cutting.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I have cut an umbilical cord before.
Oh, you sure have?
I have. Yeah, because I'm sitting here going, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I cut our nephew's umbilical cord.
But it's just, like, I don't want to use the word chewy, but that's kind of what it is. Like, I didn't use my teeth. I used scissors, obviously.
Oh my God.
I walked in there like Dan Aykroyd from Coneheads, and I was like, nurse starts
disgusting.
passing out and stuff.
Oh, that's so gross.
Now, normally a woman goes in, have a C-section or just a regular birth, and 2 days later, max, 2 days max, you're going home with your brand new baby to start your new wonderful no sleeping life. But that's not how we roll.
No.
We don't do things the traditionally way, you know. We were in the hospital for what, 8 more days?
No, it was a week.
It was a week? So
Yeah.
7 days. Excuse the hell out of me. 7 days. Okay.
Yeah, he was born on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
We were there until the following Monday.
Well, you had to be on that magnesium. The magnesium holinate that you were talking about earlier. No, the magnesium. For another 24 hours after.
Yeah.
Which was more you didn't eat for like 2 days. 2 or 3 days. You lost a lot of weight. Like in that little amount of time between the no eating, pushing a baby out, all the liquids and gook and all that kind of stuff came out. And, they had issues with your blood pressure again. Not crazy, but just inconsistent, I guess. So that went on for what? 2-3 days, I think?
What?
They kept checking on the blood pressure.
Well, they checked my blood pressure the whole time I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Every like 4 hours or so, and everything's fine. But Rhys had issues with his blood sugar.
Right.
For
A couple days.
It was like 3 days.
Yeah.
And it took us to, get his blood sugar under control. And then he was
A little bit of jaundice.
Yeah. And like they were ready to discharge him.
Yeah.
They came in and they told me, at that point, they're like, well, he's good to go. Just, whenever you're ready to be discharged, we'll discharge him. He's fine.
Now I'm happy. I'm like, oh, sweet. This is awesome.
It was like first thing in the morning, one of the mornings. I don't remember. And by that afternoon, we were like, something's not right. Y'all need to check his bilirubin levels. Mm-hmm. He's jaundiced. Like his eyes are yellow and stuff. And sure enough, they check it again. And the next morning, he was up under the lights because he was jaundiced. So they're like, okay, no, he can't leave. And then I started running fevers. Now
you started running a fever after they got his thing under control, right?
Yeah, because it was kind of like one thing and then the other.
Because I remember thinking, oh, we're going to get out tomorrow. Because you start thinking like a prisoner. You're like marking hashtags on the wall. Hashtags. What are those things called? Slashes or whatever on the wall? Like tally marks. Trying like, when do I get out of here? And, cause I remember thinking, we're gonna get out of here. And then the nurse comes in and she's like, she takes your temperature and you have a fever.
Yeah. It was like, oh, your temperature's like 101.4.
And they freak out because, and it's warranted.
Yeah. I mean, I've had surgery.
You could have like an infection.
Surgery plus fever usually a lot of times equals infection.
And then for like 3 days, every time the sun went down,
it was the strangest thing.
It wasn't during the day. You didn't run a temperature during the day.
Yeah, I would be fine.
As the sun would go down and your fever would spike.
Yep.
So we thought they had taken your uterus out and turned you into a vampire. Like that was the joke going around because you would only start to burn up when the sun would go down.
Like they were doing blood work on me every day.
I'm sorry, they didn't take your uterus out. They took your the little nasty bag that some people eat. That's what they took out.
What, placenta?
There we go.
Oh my gosh. I need some water. I mean, the way I was having to sit in this chair, like, I had to, like, put my feet up and made my butt hurt. You okay?
Yeah. It was 1, 2, 3, 4 a minute ago. I forgot to tell you were talking.
What were we just talking about?
Placenta.
So, like, they were doing blood work on me. They were testing my pee. They were trying to figure out what in the world was causing these fevers. And it was like the second night. Is that the second or third night? I can't remember. Nothing
I don't know, because there were so many nights, yeah.
Nothing was showing up, like, to tell them what was wrong. So the nurse comes in and she's like, well, we're going to have to do another urine test on you. But for this one, we have to get sterile urine, which means they got to go in and get it.
Yeah, we're going inside to get the urine.
Which means they have to stick this catheter-like thing in there.
And you said go inside of what and
to
get
get
it?
your pee. And let me tell you, that was more miserable than giving birth.
Now, was that the old lady?
Yes!
Okay, we're just going to put this out there, Front Street. For the most part, everybody that we had to, work with, and it was a lot of people because we were there for, a week. Everybody's pretty much awesome. But this lady, not so much.
There was a nurse that was assisting my nurse.
Yeah.
In doing this, and she was an older lady, and she was grouchy, and she thought she knew it all.
We'll go with grouchy, yeah.
And...
oh, she didn't know anything.
No, because she didn't know where to stick the catheter in.
Yeah.
And she was directing my nurse.
Yeah.
Who was this sweet younger lady. And I remember feeling her go, it's right here, and then thinking, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it.
I think I would have had a better chance.
It was, it's making me cringe just thinking about it.
I remember her going, just push harder. It'll open up. And I'm like, what do you mean it'll open up? It was making me hurt. I was like, I don't even have a vagina, but I feel like it would hurt right there.
And my nurse, she was like, I can't, I'm getting resistance. Yeah. And I remember thinking, I was like, I don't think that's it. You're not in the right spot.
Yeah. And then this same lady had to draw blood from you.
No, that was a different lady.
Was it a different lady? Oh, well, that's the lady that I'm talking about. Are you sure that's not the same lady?
What?
No, it was definitely the same lady.
No, that older lady that was helping her, she wasn't my nurse.
Okay, so there were two old ladies.
It was Shelby. Shelby was my nurse.
Yeah, Shelby was awesome.
Yeah, the blonde lady.
Right.
And then this other lady came in to assist her with the catheter. You're thinking of Miriam, who was my nurse another night.
Oh, I'm gonna smear out her name a little bit because we don't need to. We're gonna talk bad about her.
Well, that's okay.
Okay.
I'm trying to refresh your memory. Miriam had white hair.
Stop saying her name. Let's talk about that because I don't think the whole time we were in the hospital.
She was the next night, I believe.
I wasn't as mad ever as I was that night.
I had her the very next night.
Yeah.
So yeah, they did that. And then the very next night, fevers again, they start doing blood work. And this time she had to do,
before she started doing the blood work, was that before or after, you had the medication issue? Cause that's the same lady, right?
Yeah. That was after she took my blood.
Okay. Sorry. So blood pressure, or not blood pressure, blood drawing. She gets ready to start drawing your blood and you immediately turn the opposite way. You're not going to look.
Yeah. I never look. I never look when I'm getting blood taken.
Now
I can't do it.
I worked in a tattoo shop. I pierced people. I never took blood, but I know how the setup is and I know what to look for. And I was just kind of like, I was paying attention. She has all these different options of things out. And me, with the knowledge I have, I'm looking at these and I'm like, I don't know why she brought all this stuff, but she's not using all this stuff.
She had to take blood out of each arm. Mm-hmm. And then she took blood 2 different times out of the same arm. So it was a total of 3 different draws that she had to do.
Well, before she started, you were already looking away and I'm looking at her and she has her hand on her chin and her eyes are wide open. Like she's looking at these things going, what do I do next? And I started to worry because I saw the look and she did that for a good 5 minutes.
It took her forever to draw my blood.
Like to try to figure out what she was going to do next. And then she had all kinds of trouble. Because
she had to draw my blood and then they were also going to send me for a chest x-ray to make sure I don't have pneumonia or anything. I don't know. I don't know why they did it. But, like, while she's still drawing my blood, they come to get me for the x-ray. And she, like, made them wait and everything. And it still took her, like, 15 more minutes. Like, it took her forever.
She finally gets done. One of the times that she stuck you with she sprayed blood everywhere because she didn't know how to get, like, I don't know what the medical term for these devices are, but like the blood comes out and goes into the tube and she couldn't connect it. She was trying to connect it before she put it in. And I saw her and I was like, God, what is she doing? And then I guess she thought, oh, well, it's got to be in the arm and then it'll connect. And I'm like, I don't think it works that way. So she sticks it in and blood starts spraying out. And she's trying to
oh my God.
She's trying to like stick it. That's where the blood splatters came from on your blanket. Like I'm watching, I'm like, oh.
See, like I'm so glad. I could not have been watching that. I could not be watching my own blood spurt out of my arm.
Well, she finally gets it done. When she takes the needle out, I swear we both heard this. She goes, I haven't taken blood from an adult in over 10 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, was there nobody else in the hospital that could have come and helped?
Yeah, and see, whenever she said that, I was like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that she had such an issue because I wasn't looking. I just knew it was taking her really, really long time.
Well, it took her 30 minutes to take 3 small tubes of blood from you.
All I knew is it was taking a long time. But yeah, she said that she normally works in the NICU.
Right.
Or something, and that, yeah, she hadn't taken any blood from an adult in 10 years. 10 years! And
this lady was horrible. She left parts all in your bed. There was a needle left in your bed.
I found a needle in my bed later on.
She left trash everywhere, like stuff on the floor. I mean, like, she just left stuff everywhere. Completely unprofessional, rude. Oh, and then the medicine thing. That was what sent me over the edge.
So, whenever you have a C-section, they give you pain medication, obviously. And I was on several different things. I was taking Tylenol, I was taking Motrin, and then, oxycodone.
Now, you were also doing Lovenox and iron too, right?
Oh, and Synthroid.
Yep, and Synthroid. So we're up to 6
and
medications.
And stool softeners.
7 medications.
And Gas-X.
8 medications.
Yeah, I think that's
so we're at 8. And I'm going to tell this story just to make it simple and precise. Katie said, what time do I take this certain medication? Because there's 8 of them. And she looks at you and goes, just trust your body. Just tell me when your body's ready. And we're like, can you just tell me? Cause like, she wants you to trust your body. Oh, when you feel like you need more pain medication, you can have more pain medication. But the problem is you can only take it.
Some of them I was taking every 4 hours.
Yeah. And then others were every 6.
Some were 6 hours. I think the Motrin was 6 hours and the other stuff was 4 hours. And then, like, depending on what time you actually got it, the time before, they would write it on the little dry erase board in the room.
So you can keep track of it. So I could
keep track.
And she didn't want to write it up there.
And, like, so I asked her, what time, and she responded with, well, I'd like for you to just trust your body. And I was like,
oh my goodness.
I remember looking at her, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what the heck? What do you mean? Just tell me what time I can have it again. Like, don't make me beg for it. I just had surgery.
Yeah. Like, just tell me what time I can take it. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take the medicine. Just tell me what time.
And, like, we actually, like, we kind of went round and round for a minute just for me to get her to write on the freaking whiteboard what time I was due for the medication next. Because I guess there's something... Like, I guess it's a rule. They can't just bring you the pain medication, like, when you're due for it. You have to ask for it. I don't know. Some nurses did that, some nurses didn't. So I'm like, I have no problem calling you and asking for it when it's time. But help me keep track of what time, because I don't know. I'm taking so many medications. I have a newborn that I'm taking care of. I just had surgery. I'm tired. I've been here for way too long. Like, just tell me what time I get my medication next.
And then we had another lady that she wasn't mean or anything, but she was an overchecker. Like, cause they have these blinds where the nurse can walk up and open the blinds and look in the room at any point. So there's no privacy. You know what I mean? They just open the blinds and look in. And I hate it. I hate it with everything that I am. Like, don't open those blinds and look in. Just knock on the door and come in. Cause I feel like you're being such a creeper. And they're like, oh, we just don't want to bother you. Whatever. You're going to bother us. There was one time, I swear to you, the nurse looked at you and said, you really need to get some rest. We'll be back in about 15 minutes to check your blood pressure again. And I'm like, really? You're just, you're telling me to get some rest, but you don't mean it. So yeah, for them to like constantly like open, that one woman open up those blinds constantly and look in, oh, it infuriates me. So I did the most logical thing possible. I drew a picture and stuck it to that window. She's like, we just want to check on the baby. So I drew a picture of a baby saying hello and I stuck it right to the window. And, I didn't do it mean, I wasn't mean about it, but in my mind, I was like, maybe they'll take this hint. And that's not what happened. What happened was,
everybody thought it was hilarious.
She thought it was hilarious, and she started going grabbing all the nurses from all the floor, like, come and open this window. And now the window's just like, ching, 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 ching. People are opening this window constantly looking at the picture. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? I did want to do something before we completely end this. I wanted to give some shout outs from this whole situation. Can we do that?
Absolutely. Before
we get to your list, I wanted to do one, that's more Bob and Katie show centric. There's a guy I met on Twitter. His name's Jerome. He is a avid listener of Tell 'em Steve Dave, and that's how we kind of connected. Mm-hmm. But, he listened to our show and he said he's a fan. He's going to start listening to it.
Oh.
And, he said he was going to do his best to try to spread our show to other Tell 'em Steve Dave listeners.
Thank you, Jerome.
So yeah, Jerome, thanks, buddy. I really don't know anything about him other than his name's Jerome. And he's an ant. That's all I know.
Sounds like a super nice guy.
Yeah. And, he draws things. He's an artist. So.
He draws things.
Yeah. Thanks, Jerome. I appreciate it, buddy. Now, we have a list of, all the people we wanted to give shout outs to from the hospital. Miriam's not on this list, right?
No, Miriam's not on that list.
So I'm going to let you read these names. The one lady wrote down all the occupations. You don't have to do that. Just read the names. The names we're about to read, we just want to say we sincerely thank you for everything you did to help us through that week. It was incredible. Like,
the list that I have, it's mostly from the night that he was born, or it was from labor and delivery. So there's a lot of nurses that are not on the list that took care of us once we were moved over to mother baby.
And if we missed you,
like most of them,
I think I said that lady's name again.
Yeah, most of them aren't written down. So a lot of those, they'll get missed. But Brooke was the nurse that took care of me when I was first in labor and delivery. Mm-hmm. And then Dr. Howard was the anesthesiologist that did the epidural, and he did a super fantastic job. Yeah. He really did. He was so serious. Like, so serious. He
got mad.
Yeah. He got mad because he came in there and like my family
this is what happened. The nurse came in and she goes, we're going to go ahead and have everybody leave, except for me. They said I could stay because the anesthesiologist was coming in, and she goes, he doesn't like people in here. And I'm sitting there and like, your family doesn't leave. And
no, she said she was going to call the anesthesiologist.
Okay. But anyways, she said the words,
when he comes,
everybody needs to go.
Yeah, but we didn't know how long it was going to take. That's why Ray was still there.
I don't care. No, I heard what she said and I knew she meant people need to leave. And I'm sitting there and I'm not saying anything, but like, I'm like, man, people need to start leaving. Because I worry. That's what I do. Like, I think about it constantly. So you guys are all talking and having a good time, and I'm sitting there on the couch going, everybody needs to get out of here. Like, the nurse just said, everybody's got to go. And everybody didn't go. And he walked in, and I saw the look on his face, and he looks at the nurse, and he's like, what are they doing here? And I'm like, oh my God.
They're in my personal space.
But I get it, because like messing with somebody's spine, that's dangerous.
Yeah. So. Yeah, he took his job very, very seriously, which I'm glad. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's going to take us a year to get through these names. Just read the names off.
Lindsay was the nurse, my nurse that took care of me the night Rhys was born.
Okay.
Catherine, which was the lady.
We talked about her already.
Yeah, I squeezed her fingers. She was actually the nurse that was there for Rhys. Like, she was the baby nurse.
Nice.
That night. Dr. Robinson is my doctor that delivered him. Mm-hmm. Oh, we didn't talk about him peeping over the curtain at me when he was delivering him. When he was
in the living room.
No, when he was delivering him.
Oh, okay. Oh, you said delivering him? Is that what you put all those words when he was delivering them?
Whenever I was like on the operating table.
Okay.
And like as soon as Rhys came out, the doctor, he like peeked over the curtain at me and he said, he has a perfect head.
Right, yeah. That's why the child's not coming out of your vagina.
Then,
His head's round.
He peeked over again. He said, that's probably why you weren't progressing. But it's perfect. And it was so funny. It was like all I could see was his eyes.
Yeah, and big. The head was big.
Anyway, Dr. Dixon, he was the anesthesiologist that did my spinal block.
That's the guy that you made feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, keep going.
There was another nurse, Michelle, and then the NICU team, Kiana, Lauren, and Lola.
Oh, wait, you had nothing nice to say about Michelle? What'd Michelle do?
I don't remember Michelle.
Mm-hmm. See, I told you to read the names, and you was like, oh, well, this is this person, what did. You got down to somebody, he was like, I don't know who that is, but she's on the list. Michelle, I don't know what you did, but you did it great.
There was a lot of people in there.
There was.
Yeah.
And like
you can only see, everybody has masks on and like the hairnets and everything because you're in the operating room. So you only see people's eyes. And this happened to me last time whenever we had Reagan and Riley, and then people would come in the room like over the next couple days and I wouldn't remember them, but they were in there when they were born because all I saw was this. All I saw was their eyeballs.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. And then the NICU team, I don't even know what they did because I was strapped down to a table. And he was okay.
They just cleaned him up, looked at him.
He didn't have to go to the NICU, thank God.
Right.
And then, some of our nurses that we had in Mother and Baby, Nina, Allie, Samantha, Shelby, there were 2 different Sarahs.
Mm-hmm. There was so many Sarahs. There's Sarahs walking all over the place.
Yeah, there were Sarahs everywhere.
I'm pretty sure I could throw a rock and hit a Sarah.
Yeah, like there was always a Sarah. Mm-hmm. And like I said, those are all the ones that we have written down, but there was a lot more, that just, they didn't get written down because we were just there for so long. But yeah, everybody was great. Everybody except for here and there.
Don't stop saying her name. You got to stop saying her name. Should we just leave her name in? Because like these nurses are going to listen to this because I sort of they know that's what we're doing. Like we got to blur her name, right?
No, we should blur her out.
Okay, stop saying it.
Yeah, Mary.
You're causing so much work for me right now. There you go.
We had a baby.
Yeah, we had a baby. You did a great job. I think they might have accidentally dropped a knife on you.
What? I think so.
Like you have this weird cut.
I have like right after the surgery, like I saw my belly and I had like this weird random, like it was like a scratch.
Yeah.
Like a bad scratch.
But you could tell like an instrument made it.
But it was like 2 inches over from like my belly button.
Right. And nowhere near where any cuts were happening. I'm telling you what happened was they was getting ready.
It wasn't there before I had the C-section.
Somebody dropped an instrument and it cut you and they was like, oh shoot. Cleaned it up real fast.
I really think that's what happened. Like,
absolutely is what happened.
Somebody like just nicked my stomach or something. Cause yeah, it wasn't there before I had the C-section.
Cause I mean, if you think about it, before you have the baby, you're on your back. The part of your stomach where it's cut is the part that sticks up real high. You know what I mean? Cause the C-section is down at the bottom in the crease. All right. For anybody that's not a woman, what I'm talking about is if you're a fat man, where they cut is
it's like right above your bikini line.
Where the belt, like when you get home and you undo your belt, you're just like, oh, that feels better. That's about where they cut. But this nick was up towards the belly button.
Yeah. It's like, I still have a mark. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Can you see that mark?
It's going to be a scar for sure.
And it's like right beside my belly button.
Yeah. They nicked you by accident. And I'm sure they saw the blood and was like, oh, what do we do?
Yeah, because like there was like a scab there. And it was like 2 days later. I was like, what is that?
But you did it. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, babe.
You did a good job. Even though, the baby had a big head and couldn't come out the right door. So.
Lord knows I tried. I was going to push him out. I swear I was. But he refused to come out that way.
I'm hoping that we're going to have another episode out very soon. Try to catch up for the month. We're going to be off schedule a little bit. We'll get it back together. Yeah,
because since we had the baby and we've been home. Yeah. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks that we've been home. Then he'll be 3 weeks old tomorrow.
We had our 10-year anniversary
Yeah, we had my birthday and our 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, so I mean, like, we got plenty of stuff
Father's
to talk
Day,
about.
which
Father's
is
Day.
today.
Yeah, that's today.
So it's been a crazy few weeks.
We got to do the gross episode for Patreon. We got to do the Casey Anthony episode for Patreon. We got lots of episodes to do, and we're probably going to do them with that baby in your lap, just like
he
this.
is right now.
Anyways, I'm really proud of you. You did a great job. The kid's awesome.
Thanks, babe.
So
We make cute kids.
we do make cute kids, don't we? What are you going to do?
I'm hoping at least one of them is going to grow up to be rich.
We had
Like
three.
a super good career.
We got three
Our
kids
are
now.
pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just need one of them to grow up and, like, buy us a mansion and, you know, some nice cars.
And I'll be like, remember, I'm the one that loved you the most. That's what I'm going to whisper
What?
into their ear.
But I will always be the one that gave birth to them. You can never take that away.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Find your laugh.
Find your happy.
Yeah, his mouth is full of nipples. Like, booby nipples.